Hi, I'm Sarah, and at 17, I was the new girl in a super prestigious school. This sudden move wasn't down to anything bad. It's not like I hated my old school or anything, but just like a winning lottery ticket that my father spent his amazing career to get. You see, my dad was a firefighter, and last summer there was a fire that completely burned down this mansion. My dad knew there was someone still in there, so he ignored all his teammates' warnings, then went into the burning building to rescue them alone. He found a girl around my age trapped in her room and rushed in to rescue her. But as he hugged the girl and ran out of the fire, a burning wooden beam fell on his leg. That was when my hero dad used his incredible strength he had left to get rid of it and carried the girl out of the building. Once he went out and checked if the girl was safe, he collapsed in his comrade's arms. He'd saved her life, but he was left with a pretty bad injury on his leg, which meant he couldn't do his job anymore. Being a fireman was all his life. He was so devastated that I couldn't even recognize him, until an unexpected fortune came to our family. The owner of the mansion, Mr. Adams, came to our front door one day. He was so grateful to my dad for saving his daughter's life that he offered him anything he wanted. Mr. Adams is a super wealthy businessman, but my dad didn't want his money. But there was one thing he agreed on. There's this private school. Well, it's not just any private school. It's where kids of politicians, celebrities, and big business tycoons go. Mr. Adams organized for me to go there too. OMG, it was so crazy. I'd be in the same class as the kids of A-list celebrities. I was so worried if I could fit in that new environment. But Mr. Adams said that his daughter Ashley went there too, and she would help me a lot. And I could see how happy my dad was after a long, devastating time. So, yes. My first day of school was so different than I imagined. Ashley had to delay going back to school for a month because she still hadn't recovered all her skin damage yet. So I ended up going alone. So, wow, this school was amazing. Seriously, take luxury and times it by about 100. Even the lockers were super expensive looking. I was afraid that if I scratched it, there was no way my parents would be able to afford the repairs. Not only were the facilities out of this world, but the students there were something else too. They looked so classy in stylish and expensive clothes. Even though the school had a uniform, it seemed like the only one wearing it was, well, it was me. Ugh, as bad as the uniform was, the thought of showing up in my cheap casual clothes was far worse. When I entered the classroom, everyone stared at me and looked me up and down. Then this glamorous girl walked over to me and said, "So, who are your parents, newbie?" I froze. I didn't expect this to be her first question, but it said a lot. Obviously, status here was important, so I knew that telling them my father was just a firefighter who would quit his job due to an injury, and I was here as a reward for his sacrifice, wouldn't cut it. I blurted out, "Mr. Adams." "Now where can I sit?" All of them were surprised. Another girl showed me an empty space at the front table. Looking at their attitude, I guessed Mr. Adams had been a very famous man in their world. The other girls stayed out of my way after that, but I could feel this one girl's glaring eyes on me. I knew I wasn't done with her. The next day, when I was by my locker, she came over with her group of friends and said, "Newbie, I know you're lying. Mr. Adams only has one daughter, Ashley, and she's my friend." Oh, no. This wasn't good. I tried to remain calm and replied, "I'm more than his daughter. He owes me and my family." They all looked surprised as I walked off, but hey, I didn't lie. He really does owe my family. If they happen to think this is down to debt or power, well, then that's not my fault, is it? That was not all. This school had some weird rules. It doesn't have regular high school clubs like music, chess, or cheerleading. Nope, here it's all down to status. There's a club for the celebrity kids, a club for the politicians' kids, and so on. I found this strange. Could no one here be themselves without clinging onto their parents' fame? Anyway, one week into school, and I was told that I had to attend my club meeting after school. Oh, so they themselves put me in a child of something family group. I didn't want to be classified as a dissident by themselves too, so I reluctantly go to the hall to attend. I sat at the back of the room. It seemed to be a club for business tycoons kids. Geez, it was so boring. So boring, in fact, that I was pretty sure the kid sitting next to me was sleeping. A boy whose dad owns one of the mega big companies droned on about how his father donated millions to the school. Worse still, everyone clapped and cheered him as if he'd saved the world or something. After half an hour of this fakeness, I'd had enough. So, glided past the sleeping guy so I could escape. But being the clumsy girl I am, I accidentally knocked his earphone jack slip out. Cue the loudest rumbling of music. Oops. The boy sat up and calmly turned off his music. I was still standing there with everyone looking at me when Mauve said, "Sarah, isn't it? Are you going somewhere? At least you should tell us what your family has done for this school. Or you think you can just enjoy the perks of this club?" Confused, I blurted out, "It's not like I need all this drama anyway." "Oh, is that so?" Mauve glared at me. I was about to gather up my stuff and hurry out of there when the guy beside me stood up and said, "She's right. No one cares about your dumb perks. This club is so boring it actually sent me to sleep." The room fell silent. This boy pulled me out of there. Wow. Who was this boy to say such a thing? I have to admit, I was kinda impressed, but also shocked. Out in the foyer, he turned to me and said, "I'm Noah. It's nice to meet an interesting girl like you." OMG! This Noah boy was so handsome. Before I could even think up a reply, he turned around and walked off. And wait, had he just said that I was interesting? Anyway, I didn't need any friends here. They all seemed so fake. All I needed to do was put my all into my studies and make the most of the education on offer here. The best class for me by far was art, and more specifically, plaster making. I loved creating plaster figures. I just got so absorbed into the art of it. Once I was working on my sculpture when this girl called Claire came up to me and whispered, "Are you on your period? Come with me to my locker if you need clothes to change into." I looked down at my skirt, and yep, she was right. Of course, I didn't have a backup outfit. Seeing me flustered, she suddenly took her Chanel tweed jacket off and tied it around my waist. Oh my God, what if I got it dirty? My panic continued when I saw inside of her locker. Wow, all of the items in there must have cost at least 4 digits. She grabbed this pretty dress, then pushed me toward the toilets. I changed into the dress. I'd never worn anything so expensive before. I stepped out of the cubicle, and she smiled and said, "You look amazing. I knew this color would complement your skin tone." Turns out that not only did she know loads about fashion, but she was also the sweetest girl. After that, I grew closer to Claire, but there was one thing I didn't understand. Why didn't an amazing girl like Claire have any other friends? One time during lunch, I asked her this, and she replied, "My mom's a famous actress, but she was afraid having me would affect her career, so she had me in secret. So here, I'm a nobody. But it's okay, because now I have you, and my amazing clothes, of course." Claire had shared her secret with me, so it seemed only fair that I shared mine. So I told her all about my dad and why I was really at this school. She hugged me and told me my dad was a true hero and I deserved my place at the school, far more than any of the other kids. It felt good having Claire to confide in, and was proof to me that not all the kids at this school were brats. Then one day, I walked into the class to see this pretty girl sitting at my table. Loads of kids surrounded her like she was royalty or something. She caught my eye and rushed over and hugged me and said, "I'll be forever grateful for what your father did for me. I'm so happy to have you as a sister, Sarah." It turns out that she was Ashley, the daughter of Mr. Adams. She invited me to have lunch with her, and I didn't want to be rude. I mean, it was Ashley's first day back and all. I spotted Claire alone on our usual table, and she looked sad when she saw where I was. I was going to ask Ashley if she could join us, but then I noticed that Claire had already left the cafeteria. I felt so out of place, as all they talked about was business news and their previous vacations to luxury hotels and private islands. Then suddenly this handsome boy came over and sat down next to Ashley. Wait, I recognized him. It was that Noah kid. Then he looked at Ashley and said, "Hey, long time no see." "Oh, he speaks," another girl said. "I was beginning to think you only want to know us when Ashley's around." Noah replied, "I have stuff I need to ask this girl." Another girl joked, "Stuff involving a fiancé and his bride-to-be, is it?" They all laughed, and I saw Ashley turn bright red. Then she turned to me and said, "Sarah, this is Noah, my boyfriend. And Noah, this is Sarah, the girl my father has told you about." "What? He's her boyfriend?" I looked in his direction and our eyes met. Hey, Sarah here again. So, thanks to my hero father, I'd been transferred to a private school where all the rich and famous people's kids went. It was so amazing to study at this luxurious school, but the one downside was I felt like such an oddball there until Ashley, the girl whose life my father had saved, came back to school and was super friendly to me. Also, there was this one boy who caught my eye called Noah. He seemed so rebellious, but kind of friendly and normal to me somehow. But then, shocker, I found out he was Ashley's boyfriend. After introducing us, Ashley spotted Noah looking at me in a weird way and surprisingly said, "Oh, so you guys know each other, huh?" He muttered out, "Yes, I saw this girl once in the club. What club was it?" I couldn't remember the name of the club either, so I just sat there smiling awkward. Ashley replied, "Oh, right," then stroked Noah's arm. To be honest, I felt kind of disappointed learning the fact that Noah and Ashley were a couple. Because, I did think about Noah a lot since the day I first met him. He stood up to save me from the awkward situation. Then he even said that I was interesting. And yes, this guy was beyond handsome. But what was I thinking? This world is not for me. I should just live quietly, focus on my study, then leave with a good profile for college admissions. Nothing more. After that, I didn't see much of Noah around school. Well, at least I didn't until we ended up in the same new drawing class. In the very first study, our teacher arranged for us to have a trip to a local art museum so we could have first impressions with modern art. I wandered off and studied the different paintings. Then a painting caught my eyes and made me stop to look at it. It was of a wildfire. At first glance, I noticed the off-balanced color scheme and layout. Moreover, in the scene of the fierce fire, destruction, and death, I sympathized with the creatures running away from the fire. My heart suddenly lightened as I thought about the courage of my father. Suddenly, I heard a voice behind me. "Looks intense, huh? The fire which enlightens is the same fire which consumes." I turned around, feeling a little surprised when I saw Noah. Then I smiled. "You know Henry Emile? I've read some of his books." I blurted out, "Wow, you don't look like someone who likes to read about philosophy." Ugh, talk about a cringy comment. But Noah just smiled and said, "So, you like his painting?" "Yeah. My life has turned to a new page just because of a fire." After that, we analyzed the special features of the painting, and turns out, as well as being cute, he's pretty smart too. Then I looked up and saw him looking at me. I don't know, perhaps it was because we felt the same way about the painting, but I found myself feeling a special connection toward him. Since he kept looking at me like that, I pretended to cough, and then Noah stroked my head and walked away. Oh dear, what did he just do? My heart was beating so fast and my face turned as red as a tomato. But then I just told myself that a pat on the head may mean nothing to him, right? Still, that night I couldn't stop thinking about him. Maybe he liked me. But no! I dismissed that thought. He was with Ashley, so I mustn't think about this anymore. The next morning at school, I was working on my plaster statue when suddenly someone swiped it. I watched in horror as it fell to the ground and lay there in a squashed up mess. "Oh, sorry," a girl said in a sarcastic tone. "It's like you don't need all this drama and stuff around you." Jeez, I recognized her. It was that mauve girl, the one who hosted my former club. "Are you obsessed with me that much? Leave me alone." I fumed while sitting there trying to save the shape of my statue. "Oh, it's not that easy, babe. Let me tell you the first perk of our club: living in peace." All of her friends laughed along while Mauve stepped up, aiming at my statue again. At that moment, another voice piped up from the back of our class. "Do you want me to smash up yours too? Or are you going to apologize properly to her?" That's when I saw Noah standing next to Mauve's statue, wobbling it back and forth. "Noah, why do you keep protecting her? Is she important to you?" "You just need to know that if you keep causing trouble to her, you'll have me to answer." Then he continued to wobble the statue and said, "Now, it's your call." "Fine, I'm very sorry." She rolled her eyes at me before she stormed over to her statue. Noah stopped wobbling it, then walked over to me and tried to help me with my statue. His clumsiness just made the shape getting worse, but made my heart melted before my mind could help it. "Sorry, seems like I ruined this thing more than she did." He looks at me with guilty eyes. "No, you're helping me to make a fresh start instead of fixing it." He just laughed. "We have to start too, Sarah. Do you see their angry eyes? We're in the same boat now. I looked over his shoulder to see the girls were fuming. But wait, Ashley was there too, and she looked not so happy. She walked over to me, hugged Noah around the neck, and said, "Noah, I'm hungry. Can we go to the canteen?" Then she turned back to give me a dirty look before they left. That look was her warning. For me. Okay, I definitely needed to keep my distance from Noah from now on. She had her reason for doing so. I could understand. Noah had never cared about anything at school, but now he even made friends with me. That must make her feel insecure. The problem was I just seemed to keep running into him. Speaking of which, after school I was getting my bike when he appeared. Feeling flustered, I thanked him again for earlier. He replied, "Don't just say thank you. How about a coffee?" Things with Ashley were hostile enough, so I replied, "Sorry, Noah, I have a family thing. And also, it's a little awkward with, Ashley, don't you think?" At first, he looked confused, but then he shrugged, said, "Okay," then walked off. Noah was such a sweet guy, but staying away from him was for the best, right? Besides, Claire had asked me to go over to her house to try out some of the new items that she just designed. We ate pizza, watched a movie together, and looked at the collection that she just finished. She photographed me in some of the clothes, and I posed like a professional model. We had so much fun. I had an amazing friend that was enough for high school life. No more other feelings, no more drama. But one day not long after that, when I was walking through the hallway at school, suddenly someone pulled my hand. Turns out it was Noah. He pulled me to the emergency exit and said, "Sarah, stop being friends with Claire. She's not real." At first I was quite surprised, but then I cleared my throat. "You are not telling me who I can be friends with. I'm not a kid." Then he took his phone out and showed me the pictures of me wearing Claire's clothes. Huh? Why did he have these pictures? I said, "So what? She had my permission to take these photos." "But not for posting them on the forum. Your pics hit 1 million likes. What if you become famous? They will find out you're just a daughter of—" He hesitated. I was startled as he said that. He must have known my secret. Noah showed me Claire's post. She posted my pictures on the creative fashion forum to promote the outfits she designed with the message, "Even ugly ducklings can turn into swans when wearing these." Oh my God. What did she mean by that? In a detailed description, she even added my story, telling that my family was poor but my firefighter father still chose to risk his life to save others. We are not poor, and that was my secret. How could she use that to get people's compassion? She turned out to be worse than the others. She used me and laughed at me behind my back. Seeing my worried face, Noah reassured me that his family's company had signed a contract with Claire, so the photos would be removed from the forum soon according to the company's regulations. He saved me again, and this time it was from my best friend here, my only friend. I trusted her and told her all of my secrets, but turns out I was just a joke to her. From that day on, I avoided Claire. I didn't bother to confront her because I knew she would just try to fake her way out of it. One day I was sitting in the cafeteria with Ashley and a group of friends. Claire came to our table and said she wanted to talk to me. I was annoyed and didn't want to talk to her, so I ignored her. Claire looked confused and grabbed my arm and said, "Please, Sarah, I want to know what's going on." I shrugged her off and continued to ignore her. Seeing that, Ashley immediately stood up in a sarcastic tone, said, "Sorry, there's no private talk in this group." Then she looked at Claire. "Oh, wait, you don't belong here." That's when the other girls in the group laughed at Claire. She just stared at me, but I ignored her. I was still really mad at her. She ended up bursting into tears and running off. After Claire left, Ashley stood up and said, "Even a girl like Claire dares to hurt Sarah. That's totally unacceptable. So this weekend, my parents are away, so I'm throwing the party of the year. It's dedicated to Sarah. My family totally owes her, and I want the whole school to know that. So make sure you're all there." Wow, she was having a party in my name. I just wanted a quiet life, but maybe I did need this, so others could at least leave me alone. After everyone finished lunch and left, Ashley pulled me aside and whispered, "Hey, everyone's supposed to wear a costume. It's just a tradition of ours, royal kids." She winked at me, then left. I was freaking out about what to wear, but turns out I didn't need to worry. As soon after that, I received a parcel from Noah with the message, "To shine at the party." Noah was so kind to be this thoughtful, but honestly, I didn't feel very comfortable when he treated me this way. Anyway, I opened the box and saw Wonder Woman's suit. This costume was so beautiful, and I loved it. That night, I put on the costume and did my hair and makeup. I felt so awesome in my outfit and couldn't wait to go to the party and see everyone else's outfits. However, when I followed the staffs and walked in, I saw that all the other girls were in trendy dresses. What? What was going on? Why was no one else dressed up? I stood there in panic when I heard someone say, "Ew, our Wonder Woman has arrived." The other girls laughed frantically. Then they gathered around me and pulled me out into the middle of the room. I looked around to find Ashley, but the more I tried to look, the more terrified I got. They were all staring and laughing at me. I blushed in embarrassment. This was so humiliating. I couldn't believe that I was being pranked again by everyone in the school. I was about to run out of that party when the loudspeakers sounded on stage. Hey, Sarah here. So I thought that the kids at my school were finally starting to accept me. Ashley had invited me to her party. Not only that, but she dedicated it to me. Then Noah sent me this awesome Wonder Woman costume to wear it. I showed up at the party feeling great, but then my mood soon changed when I realized I was the only one there in a costume. The crowd gathered around me so I couldn't run away. I felt so humiliated and lonely. I didn't belong here. I felt foolish for ever thinking that I did. I searched the crowd for at least one friendly face but couldn't find one. This was awful. I knew I needed to get out of this nightmare right now. I desperately searched for the nearest exit and was about to push my way through the crowd to get to it. But then the big monitor behind me let out a crash sound, and I heard the crackling of flames. I looked back and saw that a shadow puppet show was playing on the monitor. I stared in shock at the familiar scene in front of me. There was a mansion on fire, and then a firefighter burst into it and carried a young girl out. Then he collapsed in his comrade's arms. I watched as they showed another girl standing next to the fireman. She leaped up and down as money fell on her. I knew that the girl was meant to be me, and that Ashley was behind this. She was the only one who knew the story well enough and the only one who could show the play here. The show went on, and I watched as a young man entered the frame with the young girl, and they kissed. Suddenly, the other girl came back on the screen and pulled the young man away from her. Then they ran off together. The ending scene was the young girl sitting alone and crying. The crowd booed and hissed at the screen. I stood there frozen. This was nonsense. I'd never stolen her boyfriend. Ashley must have misunderstood me, and this was going too far. Well, actually not far enough for her. As to my horror, the show continued. Ashley appeared in front of the screen with her microphone. Suddenly, the spotlight was on me, and at the same time, Ashley said, "Here she is, our real-life villain. Although it seems like she still thinks she's a hero. How could she do this to me? I trusted her and thought we were friends." All eyes were on me. They whispered, pointed, laughed, and threw dirty looks at me. I wiped my tears and tried to escape from the toxic crowd. That was when I bumped into Noah. Ashley might have misunderstood me, but how could Noah help her with that plan? What he did was far worse. I glared at him and said, "Thanks for the costume. Are you satisfied now?" He called my name and tried to say something, but all I cared about was getting out of there. It was the darkest day of my life, and I would never return to that school for monsters. No way. I explained to my mom what had happened, but I asked her to keep it a secret from Dad as I didn't want to upset him further, as he was still recovering from his injuries. So we told my dad that I was struggling with the work at the new school because I'd started so late. He supported me no matter what, but I know it kind of made him disappointed that I'd missed such a golden chance. I'm the daughter of the bravest firefighter. I will do my best to make him proud. I returned to my old school and realized how calm that world was in comparison to the rich kids' school. The only thing I did miss about that place was the plaster sculpture class. But it's okay. As I asked the art teacher for permission to start a plaster modeling club, she agreed, and I pinned the info on the notice board. No one seemed interested in it, but whatever. I was just happy that I could continue to make plaster models. The small club room was like a private domain, until one day Ben showed up. He walked in and asked, "Is anyone here?" At first this confused me, but then I noticed the tools in his hands and realized that he wanted to join the club. I smiled and said, "Yes, me and Genevieve. Welcome to our club." It turned out that Ben was a master at this, and he showed me loads of tips and tricks. Together, we nurtured our dreams of going to the same art college and being able to open an exhibition of our own. He was so sweet. He always bought us snacks to share, never got annoyed if I asked him to explain something multiple times, and he was a great listener. I really liked having Ben as a friend. But the one downside was being around him reminded me of Noah. I know he turned out to be a jerk, but I couldn't deny the fact that I'd liked him a lot. Then one time in club, things got awkward. Ben showed up with a bag of heart-shaped candy and started saying, "Hey, Sarah, the thing is, I like..." Uh-oh. I knew where he was going. I liked Ben, but only as a friend. I couldn't let him confess his feelings for me, as that'd make everything awkward. So I interrupted him. "Ben, I like you too. You're a great friend. Can you help me with this?" Then I pointed at a section of my statue. Ben tried to say something, but I kept pretending to be busy with other matters. Then he just gave up and helped me in silence. After that, he didn't try to tell me how he felt again, and we carried on being friends as normal. It was best for everyone. High school ended, and all of our efforts led me and Ben to a top art college. I was so excited, but I was also afraid to open up and make friends with anyone again, as this hadn't worked out well for me before. Ben seemed to understand all of my feelings, so he was always with me. I was so grateful to have Ben there. He was an amazing friend, and it was great being around someone who shared the same passion for art as I did. It was sweet that Ben cared for me, but at times he did take it a little far. Some of the other boys at college liked me, but they did not even have a chance to come close to me. I found out that Ben intercepted any gifts and cards they tried to send me and threw them in the trash. He even stopped them on the street when they tried to approach me on my way home, then demanded them to have a talk with him first. He took it so serious that I thought I was his little daughter. One time, when this guy told him that he'd meet me at all costs, Ben insisted on staying at my house so he could look out for me. I found the whole thing hilarious, and so did my dad. I guess how Ben acted looked odd to other people, too. Like, one time when we were having lunch, this guy stopped in front of our table and asked, "Is he your boyfriend? If not, he has no right to act so clingy." To be honest, I didn't want to date anyone anyway. I didn't have time for boys. I wanted to focus on my art, so I grabbed Ben's hand and told the guy, "Yes, he does have the right, so you better beware of him." I could see Ben blushing and smiling. He didn't still like me, did he? The day of our final presentation arrived, and there were loads of talent agencies there to watch us. It could be considered as our very first interview. Recruiters were allowed to question us to make their employment decisions. It was so scary, but also exciting. Afterward, my lecturer told me that both I and Ben had received some great offers, including a company that wanted to hire the both of us. I immediately texted Ben to meet me on the college rooftop to celebrate. But when I saw him, I noticed that he looked sad. Okay, this made no sense. He should have been as excited as I was. I asked him, "What's wrong, Ben? We can still work together. I will confirm the deal, and I can't wait to work with you." But Ben sadly said, "Congrats, Sarah, but I'm so sad that I can't stay. You know, I always want to be with you, but I have my own dream to reach." His dream? I'd never thought to ask about his dream before. I'd just presumed it was the same as mine. Now I felt bad that I'd been so selfish toward him. Ben continued, "I got an offer from a museum in San Francisco. They said I could develop my idea for my project there. That's my dream, organizing my own art exhibitions, and I don't want to miss it. Could you come with me, Sarah?" The offer he'd received was amazing. They must have been extremely impressed with him. But as excited as I was for him, I wasn't sure about going with him. There was no company in San Fran that wanted me, but I had opportunities here. Ben could see through my feelings. He suddenly took my hands and said, "I love you, Sarah. You know that. Please give me a chance. I don't want us to be apart." I pulled my hands back. "I can't, Ben. This is your dream, and you should go for it, but it isn't mine. I know you'll be successful, and you can come back one day and find me." I trailed off. Seeing my resolute attitude, Ben didn't say anything more, but just looked away. That afternoon, I realized we had to grow up from young dreamers and become warriors of our future. After all, the future looked bright, and I was excited to see where mine would take me. Hey, it's Sarah here. So my school and college days had come to an end. Now I was stepping out into the big, wide world and trying to get my first job as a plaster statue maker. Today was an exciting but nerve-wracking day for me, as I had a meeting with a famous fashion company. Apparently, they were impressed with my portfolio and thought I was perfect for the job, so I was eager to find out what it involved and how a plaster modeler like me would fit in. First off, wow, the building was massive. The foyer was full of modern furniture and abstract artwork. I sat on the couch and waited, noticing how everyone looked so stylish with their trendy outfits and funky hairstyles. I felt a bit out of place in the dress I'd found in the sale, but I tried telling myself that I was here for my talent and not for wearing expensive outfits. After a few minutes, a nice lady came and said that the director was ready to see me in the meeting room. As I followed her there, I felt my heart beating like crazy. I couldn't believe that I had the opportunity to work with such a big company. For a girl who just graduated, this was a really big deal. But as soon as I entered the room, my mood changed. You will not believe who was sitting in the meeting room. It was Noah and Claire, my old classmates. So, what, Noah was the director now? And he was the one who wanted to hire me? Was this maybe another sick joke or something? I thought my school dramas were behind me, but now I was face to face with two people who'd stabbed me in the back. Noah stood up and said, "Hi, Sarah. It's good to see you again. Is this a joke? Are you both trying to make fun of me again? For your information, I'm not that girl anymore, so don't even think about it," I interrupted him with anger. Noah looked confused. "This isn't a joke, Sarah. It was never in school, either. You're here because we know how talented you are." They were all liars. I trusted them once, but never again. I turned my back on them and was about to walk out the door when Claire stood up and said, "I think she meant me. She's still mad at me because I used her story for my collection without asking her." Oh, so Claire remembered how she used my story, as if it was a joke just to raise the value of her collection. Claire continued, "Sarah, please listen. I'm sorry I took your pictures for my project without asking you first. I was so focused on the project that I didn't notice the feelings of the people around me." I turned around and replied, "Well, making fun of others isn't really art, don't you think?" She shook her head and said, "No, that wasn't my intention at all. Your story was inspiring, and I just wanted everybody to know about it. But I get it now. It was wrong of me. Can you please forgive me?" This made me so mad. So I replied, "Do you think a simple sorry will make up for it? You humiliated me." Claire came towards me, took my hand, and said, "I know. Trust me, I've regretted it for years. I still regret it now." I looked right into her eyes and said, "You really did hurt me that day. You know that?" Claire replied, "I know. Please give me a chance to make it up." Okay, so maybe she was sorry. I mean, she looked like she meant it. Besides, this wasn't school anymore. I at least needed to hear what she had to say. So I smiled at her and said, "Okay." She looked so relieved, then she hugged me. I noticed Noah smiling too, so I said, "Don't think that I forgot about that Wonder Woman costume." At first he looked confused, then said, "Wait, Sarah, that wasn't me. I didn't give you the costume." "Wait, what? You didn't?" Noah nodded and continued, "Of course I didn't. Why would I ever do that to you? We are on the same boat. Did you forget?" Oh my God, I couldn't believe it. All this time and it wasn't him? I misunderstood him and the feeling of being betrayed had haunted me for years, but it was all Ashley. "So, now that's cleared up, can we talk about the project?" he asked. Blushing, I nodded. They started telling me about the project, and wow, it sounded amazing. I was totally blown away. Forget the usual skinny models in every fashion show, as they wanted me to create plaster statues that would show off the charm of the human body. Each statue would have a unique shape. Silk was the theme material for Claire's collection. She would work with me to create costumes that would suit each plaster statue. They offered me the job, and I said yes! This was really a big challenge for me, but I couldn't wait to make it happen. Claire and I threw ourselves into the project, and it wasn't long before we bonded over lunchtime takeouts and after-work coffees. I must admit, it was good having her around. I guess I missed her more than I realized. To my surprise, Noah was also pretty great. This may have been his family's company, but turns out he was a good boss. Whenever Claire and I couldn't agree on something, Noah would jump in and give us an even better option. He always had these crazy ideas that Claire and I would never have thought of. This one time, the three of us ended up working later than expected, so I volunteered to go and grab some food from the place around the corner. As I was walking, I heard Noah call my name. Turns out he wanted to keep me company. Then, when he saw me shivering, he took off his jacket and put it around my shoulders. My heart felt like it skipped a beat, and I could smell his warmth around me. I'd forgotten what a sweet guy he could be. Uh-oh. Was I crushing on him again? But then a few days later, something happened. The three of us were having lunch when suddenly Noah's phone, which was lying on the table, rang. I could see on the screen that it was Ashley. Noah picked up the phone. "Oh, hey, Ashley. Yes, okay, I'll be there in a minute." And then he hung up and said, "Sorry, ladies, I have to go now. See you tomorrow. Bye." And then rushed out of there. I immediately turned to Claire and asked, "Was that the Ashley who just called?" Claire nodded. "Yes, ma'am, the one and only. It's such a shame that a great guy like Noah has to marry an awful person like Ashley." Wait, what? Did Claire just say marry? I tried to keep a calm voice when I asked her. "They're getting married?" "When?" Claire replied. "I think in the fall or something. I'm not really sure. Noah doesn't talk much about it. He's always quiet when it comes to this topic." Oh, great. I'd fallen for him all over again, only to lose him to Ashley. Again. I felt so disappointed, but at least now I knew what I had to do. From now on, I'd keep my feelings hidden and concentrate on my work. No way was I getting on Ashley's bad side again. After a lot of hard work and effort, we completed the project on time. Not only that, but the exhibition was a major success. Claire's stunning outfits and my awesome sculptures worked so well together. Turns out we made a great team. Claire's costumes sold out, and she received loads of orders. As for me, my statues were auctioned off with sales far greater than expected. To congratulate us, Noah threw a party for our team at this swanky bar in town. It felt so good to let my hair down for once, as I'd been working so hard of late. We had a really great time. Everybody was gathering on a table and was teasing each other, making jokes, and just having fun. I probably should have slowed down on the cocktails, as I soon ended up pretty drunk. After a while, Noah sat down next to me and asked me, "So, apart from being a talented sculptor, do you have any other hobbies?" I replied, "Of course I do. Duh. I like, I don't know," I laughed. He continued asking, "What about food? Any favorite dish? And what about pets? Do you like pets?" I laughed and replied, "Oh, wow! Is this an interview or something? What's with all these personal questions?" Noah smiled and answered, "I want to get to know more about you, as I find myself curious about you." I felt my face turn bright red. What did he mean by that? Did he maybe also have feelings for me? But then I quickly kicked all these ridiculous thoughts out of my head. He was engaged to Ashley, so he was just being nice. Noah gazed at me oddly, which confused me. I didn't know what to do or say, so I stood up and said quickly, I need to go to the restroom," but assumed I had too many drinks because I almost tripped. Noah held my hand and insisted on helping me. His hand felt so warm. I knew I should pull my hand away, but I just couldn't. To be honest, I just wanted to fall into his arms. Maybe it was the alcohol talking. The next morning, I woke up. What the? This wasn't my room. I was in this luxurious, very modern room. The kind you see in 5-star luxury hotels. Oh my God! Where was I? I looked down at my body and, phew, still had my clothes on. So nothing happened, right? I took a deep breath to calm myself down, and then quickly grabbed my purse, which was on a chair, and sneaked out of the room. Geez, this apartment was huge. Where was the damn door? When I was still struggling to find a way out, I bumped into Noah, who just stepped out of the bathroom. Why are you here?" I mumbled out. But then I looked around and spotted a big picture of him and his family. Oh, great. I'd spent the night at his place. Hi everyone, it's Sarah here. So I had the ultimate blast from the past when I went to a meeting and ended up coming face to face with my old classmates, Noah and Claire. After years, we eventually had the chance to clear up misunderstandings. I was too hasty in concluding that they were all monsters who caused my past suffering. We let the past stay in the past and did a great job together. After that, I found my relationships blossoming between them both. But while Claire's was a growing friendship, with Noah there was some definite chemistry there. But he was engaged to Ashley, so I tried to keep my feelings hidden. At least that was until the night of the party when I drank way too much. So here I was, in what must have been Noah's apartment. I was staring at him standing there in front of the bathroom. Before I could mumble out any sort of response, an angry girl burst in. Oh no, it was Ashley. She wasn't pleased that Noah was at home with a seemed-to-be drunk girl. He tried explaining to her that it wasn't what it looked like. That's when she took some photos from her purse and threw them on the floor. They were pictures of me and Noah from last night. There were some of us chatting at the table, one where we were laughing, and one of him helping me out of the bar and into his car. Oh my God, why did she have these pictures? Noah said he needed to change clothes first, then we could all talk it out. He led Ashley out of the room, but a few seconds later she stormed back in and yelled at me. "It's you again, Sarah. I know you seduced my fiancé." "It's not like that," I muttered out. "I was drunk, and he was just being kind. There is nothing between us." "These say otherwise." She pointed to the pictures. "You think that because your dad saved my life, that you're entitled to not only the same education as me, but my fiancé too? Well, you're not. You're nothing." She lunged at me and reached out to grab my hair. Luckily, Noah, who was pulling his t-shirt over his head, rushed into the room. He grabbed Ashley and pulled her away from me. "When I come over later, she better be gone," she screamed at him, before she stormed out of the apartment, slamming the door behind her. I wanted to tell Noah how sorry I was, but I couldn't find the words. He took my hand and pulled me out of his apartment. We got into his car, and he drove me home in silence. When he pulled up outside of my place, he finally spoke. "Sarah, I'm really sorry about all this. Last night's a bit of a blur for me, but I can tell you this. Everything I did is my true feelings, because I love you. There's no one else like you. You're special, and I've always loved you, since high school. You feel the same way, right?" Oh my God! Noah had feelings for me too! So my mind wasn't messing with me. I knew it. For a minute, I was so happy to hear that. But then reality hit me. He was engaged to Ashley. I knew we couldn't be together, so I reluctantly said, "Noah, you're engaged to Ashley. You belong to somebody else. So we can't be together." Noah cut me off. I know. We're only engaged because it was our family's decision for business stuff. I don't love her, not like how I love you. Can you please wait for me? I will handle this." I was so confused. I was stuck in a love triangle that I never intended to be in. To be honest, I also had feelings for Noah, but I knew what kind of person Ashley was. If Noah left her for me, she would never stop trying to ruin my life. Sorry, Noah. I know what she's like. I still have the emotional scars from the last time she thought I was trying to steal you from her. I don't want to get involved in this drama with you and her. So please, let us just be friends. Noah was silent at first, but then he gave a solemn nod and said, "Okay, if that's what you wish." I got out of his car and watched him drive away. I'd made the best decision, right? I couldn't be with a guy who was engaged to someone else. After that, I buried myself in work. Only having Noah as my boss was not so easy, especially when Ashley started visiting him almost every day at work. Ugh. If watching her be all over Noah wasn't bad enough, I also had to endure her childish games. One time, she had 2 cups of coffee in her hand and accidentally spilled both of them on me and my desk. The coffee was so damn hot. Luckily, I didn't get burned. She feigned concerned, but I wasn't fooled. I knew that she'd done it on purpose. Then another time, when I went to the restroom, I caught her writing bad comments about me on the mirror with lipstick. I mean, seriously? I asked her why she was doing this, and she smirked and said, "You know why. Buckle up, as this is just the beginning." Then she laughed and went out of the restroom. Oh my God! How crazy she was! Turns out she meant what she said. As a week later, I had a meeting with an important business partner. I was super nervous, so I went to my laptop to give my presentation one last scan through, and to my horror, the document had vanished. This made no sense, as it had been there last night before I went to bed. I'd triple-checked it. Somebody must have hacked my laptop. That's when I saw Ashley standing by the door with a scornful smile on her face. I instantly knew this was down to her. I whispered to Noah and Claire that I couldn't find the presentation on my laptop. They looked shocked, but Noah immediately explained to the partner that my laptop had a virus, so all the data had been deleted. So we needed to postpone the meeting. The partner looked furious and shouted at Noah, "Are you kidding me? A virus? I expected your company to be more professional, but clearly I was wrong. I hope you understand the importance of this exhibition." And then he left the meeting room. Oh my God, this was so embarrassing. It was my entire fault. I let the team down. And now we had to face consequences because of me. Could things even get worse? After that, Noah asked Claire to leave the room. Then he turned to me and said, "I know it's not your fault. Someone must have hacked your laptop. Don't worry, I will get to the bottom of this." It felt good knowing that he didn't blame me. He was such a sweet guy, which was exactly why I loved him. And worse still, I'd let him go so that Ashley wouldn't make my life a misery. But here she was, making my life one. Enough was enough. Ashley was a horrible person, and she didn't deserve a sweet guy like Noah. So before I stopped to think, I blurted out, "Noah, I need to tell you something. I love you too, and I think we should give ourselves a chance." Noah looked at me with surprised eyes. But after an agonizing wait of silence, he said, "Sarah, I'm really sorry. We can't. Ashley is the best choice for me. I hope you understand." His words hurt like crazy. How could he confess his love for me just a few days ago, and now tell me he wanted her, not me? Did he decide that his career was more important than love? But then, what did I expect? He was engaged. I felt like such a fool, so I nodded and said, "I understand." Then I rushed out of there. I needed to take my mind off everything. And luckily for me, a new project with Claire popped up, which involved Claire designing national costumes and me creating statues with poses to match. Plus, I got to design wheeled platforms so that the statues could move. This would be a big shot. I meant this idea was unique in the sculpture industry. One day I was waiting outside of the building for Claire to go get her car as we were going for dinner, when I heard someone call my name. I turned around, and to my surprise, I saw that it was Ben. "Sarah, it's so good to see you." He smiled. I stared at him in shock. "Wow, it's been so long. When did you come back? Why didn't you text me?" He smiled and said, "Well, I always knew I'd come back. Sarah, At that moment, Claire arrived. She smiled and looked out the car door to greet Ben. I regretted goodbye to him. So Ben and I switched numbers and arranged to meet up soon. It was great to have my best friend back here by my side. Claire grabbed my arm and said, "Ooh, who's he? He's very handsome." I laughed at her. "He's my friend Ben. So you like him, huh?" "Ah, his name is Ben. I think I have found the prince of my life. You have to help me, Sarah." I smiled and gave her an okay signal. She became really excited and couldn't stop asking about him during the meal. I thought they would become a cute couple. That weekend, I arranged to meet Ben at a restaurant. Ben was still very attentive and enthusiastic as before. It was so good to catch up with him, and we talked about our dream to one day open our own exhibition together. Then he said, "Do you remember our promise?" Of course I remembered it. We once promised to open an exhibition together. Then Ben continued, "My work in San Francisco had problems. Things didn't go well as I expected, but I've learned a lot. Now I'm confident enough to come back to find you and make our dream come true, but I need your help." I was so surprised by his suggestion. At the time, I was so busy with work that I wasn't sure how I'd manage both. But looking at Ben's face, I knew I couldn't turn him down. So after thinking for a while, I smiled at him and said, "Yes, of course. Let's make our dreams come true now." Okay, so combining both my job and working on this project with Ben was going far better than expected. I didn't tell anyone at work about my sideline project, though. I mean, they didn't affect each other or anything, but I still didn't think it would go down well with my colleagues. Then one evening, when I was around at Ben's working on the project, he turned to me and asked, "Do you remember my question? I'm still waiting for your answer." I could tell from the way he was looking at me that he meant the one after graduation when he'd asked to be my girlfriend. Wow, did this mean he still liked me, even after all this time? Ben is literally a lovebird, but what could I do? I myself am a lovebird too, spending my love to Noah all these years, even when he always had Ashley with him. I don't like Ben in that way, but I also don't want to lose him as a friend. It was too hard for me to say something now. Ben could see me feeling uncomfortable. He laughed and said, "It's okay, Sarah. Take your time. I can wait." Then we continued to discuss the project. Actually, I felt very guilty for not clearly rejecting him and giving him false hope, but I didn't want to hurt him. He was my best friend, so we'd be okay, right? Hey, it's Sarah again. So things between Noah and I became complicated after I blurted out to him that I wanted to be with him and he completely shut me down. This wasn't what he'd said a few days before this, so now I was so confused. I tried to put all my focus into work, but then I reconnected with Ben, and turns out he still loved me. After I left Ben's house, I thought things over. Back at graduation, I couldn't properly determine what my feelings were for him. Now I realized that my heart didn't belong to him. It belonged to Noah. I knew how sensitive Ben was, and the last thing I wanted was for my rejection to upset him. There was only one thing for it. I'd find him a new girl to focus on. Someone sweet and funny. Yep, I was talking about Claire. She was perfect. I put my plan into action by inviting both Ben and Claire to go bowling. Then I showed up a little late so they'd have one-on-one time to get to know each other. My plan looked like it worked because when I arrived, Claire and Ben were drinking sodas and talking. Only when I joined them, I realized that it was Claire doing most of the chatting while Ben barely said a word but just politely forced his smile without looking in her eyes. He was just awkward meeting someone new, right? Afterward, Claire sent me dozens of messages saying how cute she thought Ben was and how well they got on. I figured that Ben just needed a little more time to get to know Claire. Then he'd see how perfect she was for him. Anyway, back to my Noah problems. Seeing him at work after my failed confession was hard. I tried to be normal around him, but every time I caught a glimpse of him, my heart ached. I tried avoiding him as much as possible, but I just kept bumping into him somehow. I was on my way home from work when my car stalled. I was about to call for help, but as I was on the phone, I noticed Noah's convertible car pulled up alongside me. Then he said, "Get in the car, I'll take you home." I was a bit confused, but I didn't want to be stuck there alone this late and waiting for hours. So I got into his car. At first, there was this super awkward silence. Noah just kept quiet and drove, but then he hesitated. "Sarah, I'm sorry about what happened. I never wanted to make you sad. I understand, Noah. You don't need to explain anything. You're an engaged man, so I was just being dumb." Another silence came between us. In my life, his car became the stuffiest place I'd ever been. He pulled up outside my house, I forced a smile, and mouthed thanks before I got out of his car to walk home. But it only took a few steps before a hand suddenly pulled me back. "Sarah, it's not like that. Actually," Noah was about to say more when suddenly a voice came from behind me. "Sarah, why are you so late? And who is this man?" It was Ben. In all the commotion, I'd completely forgotten we'd made plans for him to come around this evening to discuss the project. I replied, "He's my boss. My car broke down, so he kindly helped me out." Ben stared at Noah and said in an unfriendly voice, "Oh, thanks for taking my friend home. Now you can go." Then he pulled me forward. I just turned around and waved to Noah. Ben's attitude was so strange. He was normally very polite, but why was he rude to Noah? What was wrong with him? He was in a vile mood, and as the night went on, this only seemed to worsen. We had consistently conflicting opinions. I wanted to add creative and alternative ideas to the plaster statues, but Ben rejected all those ideas. I knew he was old-fashioned and was unsure about my creative suggestions, but he wouldn't even hear me out. My ideas don't make plaster art any less valuable. Instead, it makes them stand out, which could attract younger audiences. He sneered, then said, "Your views on plaster art have changed, and so have you." What? Why did he think that? I gave him an example to let him understand what I was doing, that in my company's upcoming project, the statues would be dressed like a real person, and even they would be able to move. Ben panicked and said, "Oh my God, it was an offense. If your statues are dressed in those costumes, how can people see the beauty of sculpture?" The more I tried to explain this to Ben, the angrier he got. Then he yelled at me, "Sarah, that boss and that damn company have changed you." I shouted back, "Why are you so stubborn?" Ben continued, "I don't think I need your help anymore. I'll do the project myself." Then he left. What? I couldn't believe this. I'd been working my butt off trying to juggle work and this project. Besides, he'd asked for my help in the first place. Ugh! I agreed to work with him just because I respect our friendship, and now what he said? Okay, it was fine. I was too tired and I didn't have time to go argue with him. After that, I spent all my time on the company's project with Claire. Meanwhile, I also heard from Claire that Ben's project had problems. It seemed he was having financial difficulties implementing the project. I felt a bit guilty because I promised to contribute money with him to do this project. But now, it was his choice. So, he had to deal with it himself. Fortunately, he now had Claire by his side, so I hoped she could help him through this difficult time. Finally, after months of plenty of sweat and tears, the launch day of the new collection arrived. Due to the success from the previous project, this fashion show was much more crowded. Mostly fashion enthusiasts and local plaster lovers. Then the show started, the lights went out, and I held my breath as my statues moved along the catwalk. The light from the platform combined with the spotlight made them look like they were giving off an aura. It was such a success, and a huge number of orders were placed. Claire and I smiled happily together, so our efforts over the past few months had paid off. At the end of the show, Noah thanked the audience and the press. Then he invited me and Claire onto the stage and introduced us. He excitedly told everyone that the designer of the collection was Claire, and all these statues and the idea of making them move were all my own. Everyone was in awe, looked at me admiringly, and congratulated me. Receiving such compliments, it felt like I was on top of the world. Suddenly, there was a journalist who wanted to ask me some questions, and of course, I agreed. "I've received information that the idea about your statues are stolen, and I have evidence." Then he showed everyone photos of statues that looked exactly like my blueprints. "So, could you please tell us if this is true or not?" he asked. What? What was he asking? All of these statues were my own ideas. Everyone started talking. I heard some comments such as, "Oh, it's unbelievable. So much for her ideas being unique. And if that's true, are the costume ideas also stolen?" Then a series of flashes and microphones pointed at me and Claire. I was dumbfounded. I didn't know what to do. Suddenly, I felt someone pulling on my hand. It was Noah. When we were out of the room, he said, "My driver will take you home. I have to get back to deal with this." Noah, trust me, they are all my ideas. I'd never steal anyone else's. Sarah, I know that. I will find out who's behind this. The news that I was the idea thief spread like wildfire, and each day, fresh calls came in to cancel their orders. This was awful. Claire and I had worked so hard on that project, and now it all seemed for nothing. Worse still, if this issue didn't get sorted soon, no one would ever want to work with either of us ever again. The company was also suffering. Their reputation had declined, along with their finances. That made me feel extremely guilty, even though I was just a victim of this vandalism. I just couldn't figure out how my blueprints were leaked, as only the people in our group knew about them. Could one of them betray us? I scratched my head thinking about this. I was desperate to know if Noah had any news about this, so I went to his office. As I walked to the door, I heard Claire's voice. Don't press him this hard, please. Then Noah replied, Ashley knows it was Ben who did this. She's certain Sarah was the one who revealed all the blueprints to him. If something isn't done about this, her family will withdraw their company shares, and I can't let that happen. I couldn't believe what I just heard. How painful it was when being stabbed in the back. It turns out Ben did it. I mentioned my ideas to him before, but I just said a little bit about it. How could he make an exact copy? I immediately texted Ben to ask to meet him at the coffee shop near my company. As soon as Ben arrived, he made a guilty face. Just waiting for him to sit down, I angrily looked at him and said, Did you really do it? He looked guilty and admitted that, when his project came to a standstill because he needed money, Ashley appeared and said she'd help with one condition. He had to help her ruin my project. As well as the money, he wanted me to realize that my crazy creations, well, as he called them, weren't good for my career. So he agreed to Ashley's demands. I didn't do it just for my exhibition, Ben continued. I want you to leave that company, leave Noah, and then we can start over. This wasn't for you to decide. I know you despise the direction I've chosen to take my artwork in, but that doesn't give you the right to do what you did. I trusted you, and you destroyed my career. And what for? For some money? It wasn't like that, Sarah, he replied. How did you get my blueprints? I tried to control my anger and asked. I approached Claire, Ben said, falteringly. He took advantage of Claire's feelings and trust and dragged her into this whole mess. I couldn't control it anymore. I shouted, You're a coward! Do you know that Claire is still begging for you even though she knows you took advantage of her? Ben looked quite shocked. He stammered, Is that true? Why is she... Then he had a guilty look on his face and said, Please stop her. I don't want her to throw her career away because of me. I shrugged and said, But it's fine for you to destroy mine. This is your doing, so go and handle it yourself. Then I immediately left. That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay in bed thinking about what just happened. Turns out Ben wasn't the guy I thought he was, and I never wanted to talk to him ever again. I was even more surprised that Ashley was the one behind this. I felt so low. I had nothing left. I'd lost the man I loved, my promising career, and I'd been betrayed by my supposed best friend. I'd also introduced Claire to him and messed things up for her too. After the worst night's sleep ever, I woke up and knew what I needed to do. So I went straight to Noah's office and resigned. After this incident, I was unable to continue working at the company. I really hoped that after I left, Ben and Claire wouldn't be held responsible anymore. Then I said, It was me. I revealed the detailed blueprint to Ben. Don't blame him. Blame me. His face turned red when he said, What? How could you? Unexpectedly, you dared to sell the company outright because of your lover? I have nothing more to say to you. Go out. His words were like sharp knives stabbing into my heart. I guess a part of me hoped he wouldn't believe me and wouldn't let me go, but turns out I was wrong. There was nothing left for me here now. As I walked out of his office, I stood helplessly against the wall, then burst into tears. I couldn't do anything more. So, I stopped crying, then went over to my desk and packed up my things. That night I lay in bed in a daze until I fell asleep. The next morning, my ringing phone woke me up. I couldn't believe what I saw. Hey, it's Sarah here with the final part of my story. Trust me, you don't want to miss it. So in the last episode, I found out that Ben had betrayed me, and in doing so ruined my career. So I took the blame and left my job, but I had no idea what I was meant to do next. My ringing phone woke me up. What was going on? I drowsily reached for it, then saw tons of messages from my friends and colleagues. I skimmed through them, and to my surprise, they all included the same link. Okay, this was strange. I clicked on it and found that it was a video of Ben and Claire. I pressed play, and in it, a crying Claire admitted that she was the person who had revealed my design to Ben. And Ben said that led on by personal reasons, he'd slandered me for being a copycat. Both of them apologized to the company and to me. I scrolled down. There were thousands of comments below their video, and most of them were negative, calling them traitors and so on. I called Claire to check on her, but her phone was off. She was probably avoiding all of the horrible comments. I hoped she was with Ben now, and they could rely on each other to get through this difficult time. After hearing that Claire was begging for his fault, Ben must have realized that he was terribly wrong, then came to her to correct everything. So, the truth was out, but I didn't feel good about this. Instead, all I felt was sad. Noah thought I was capable of betraying him, when this whole vindictive plan had been Ashley's. At that point, I saw tens of messages and missed calls from Noah, but I didn't want to answer just to hear him feeling sorry for me. It hurted me so bad, thinking that when the incident happened, all he cared about was her demand and her family's shares in the company, and that I was nothing to him but a betrayer. My heart ached. Then suddenly there was a knock on my door. I opened it to find Noah standing there. He was panting and his shirt was damp with sweat. "What? Why are you here?" I asked. As soon as seeing me, he hugged me tightly. "What's wrong?" I asked. After some seconds, he said, "You didn't answer, so I was afraid something bad had happened. You were sad and I was so cruel," and I just smiled at him. "See? I'm totally good." Then I asked him to come in. At least I should hide my feelings and treat him like a friend, right? We sat on the couch and Noah kept staring at me. I joked, "Is there anything on my face?" He said seriously, "Sarah, I'm so sorry. I watched the video this morning and it's all my fault for not believing you." I replied, "Yeah, that hurt, but you're the boss, so you did what you had to do." Without letting me finish my sentence, he continued, "No, there was no excuse for not believing you. Ben texted me last night and told me everything. He said he loved you, but you don't feel the same and this made him act like a jerk." So now, no one knew the truth, but for what? He had Ashley and he was marrying her. I smiled at him and said, "It's okay. It's all over. You should care about Ashley more than you thought. This might not happen if she didn't feel insecure that much about your relationship. You have Ashley, so take care of her." He was flustered and then tried to explain, "Sarah, please hear me out. I want you. I always have. I only turned you down because Ashley threatened me." So it turned out that Ashley threatened to destroy my career and make my life a misery at all cost if he dared to break up with her. "That's why I turned you down. I know she really means what she says, and I just want to keep you safe away from her. Little did I know that Ashley tried to wreck your life regardless," he said. Then he gave me a determined look and continued, "Sarah, I tried to ignore my feelings for you, to please my family once before when we were in high school, and I almost lost you again for that damn family company. But now I realize that without you, everything is meaningless. Please forgive me." I couldn't believe this was happening. Finally, we could be together, right? We'd both wasted enough time, but could it really be that simple? He could see me hesitating and immediately grabbed my hand and insisted I go with him somewhere. I asked him where, but he just smiled, patted my head, and said I'd know soon enough. I was kind of confused, but looking at his determined eyes, I knew I could trust him. As we pulled up to this impressive mansion, I realized that I'd been here before, back at the party where Ashley humiliated me. This was her family's home. I was hesitant, but he assured me it'd be okay and led me inside. There I saw Mr. Adams sitting on the couch and reading the newspaper. I turned to Noah and whispered, "What are we doing here?" He looked right into my eyes and said, "Getting you the justice you deserve." Mr. Adams heard the noise and looked back, seeing me and Noah. He was kind of surprised. "Noah, are you here to find Ashley? She's still in her room. And is this lady—" "Yes, this is Sarah, the daughter of the fireman who saved Ashley's life." Mr. Adams gasped in surprise, then said, "Oh, it is you! How is your father?" I smiled politely and said, "It's nice to meet you. My dad is fine, thanks." Then he asked me some question about my dad and my job. He was so surprised to know that I was working in Noah's company. Then Noah said, "Mr. Adams, I have something to say." And then he told him everything about how Ashley had teased me 5 years ago and the reason why I moved back to my previous school. Then he told him how she'd planned to ruin my career. Mr. Adams was furious. He immediately called Ashley to come downstairs. Ashley's face was priceless. When she stepped down and saw me sitting in her house, she muttered out, What are you doing here?" Mr. Adams told her to sit down, then said, "Tell me what you did to Sarah, now." She yelled back, "Dad, nothing." Then she turned to me, "First, you stole my fiancé, and now you're slandering me to my own father? You're such a liar." Mr. Adams angrily said, "Stop lying, Ashley. Noah told me everything, and I believe him. Sarah's father saved your life, and as a result of his injuries, he had to give up the job he loved. Yet you did this to his daughter? Why?" Ashley looked furious. It seemed that her dad had never scolded her before. She shouted, "Yes, I did everything, but she betrayed me first. I thought we were friends, but she tried to steal Noah from me back at school, and she's still trying to do it now, even though she knows we're engaged." At this moment, Noah spoke out. "It's all my fault, so stop blaming Sarah. Back then, I didn't stand up for her, but I won't be that cowardly again." Ashley held back her tears. Honestly, I felt bad for her, so I motioned Noah to stop talking. He just held my hand tight and turned to Mr. Adams, then continued, "I didn't dare to confess my feelings because I was scared that you would withdraw your shares. But now I don't want to hide my love anymore. For me, the engagement was just a business thing. I don't love Ashley. Sarah is always the one I love, and I want to cancel the wedding. No matter what you do, Mr. Adams, I'll accept it." Mr. Adams sighed. "Sarah, on behalf of my daughter, I'm so sorry for what she did to you. Tomorrow, I'll organize a press conference to officially announce the truth to the public and vindicate you." Then he looked at Noah and continued, "And Noah, don't worry about the company. As for me, work is work, and it doesn't relate to personal affairs." Then he turned to Ashley. "Remember, Ashley, you can't force someone to love you because this will bring you nothing but pain and turn you into someone you don't want to be." The next day, the press conference was held, and the room was packed with journalists. Mr. Adams officially confirmed that Ben and Claire's confession video was true, and I was innocent. He also affirmed my talent. He said that he wouldn't investigate this more because Ben and Claire were also talented artists who made one bad lapse in judgment, and as a clear-sighted investor, he would keep facilitating young talented creators. He didn't mention anything about Ashley's fault, but then this was expected, as she was his daughter. On the way back home, I received a video message from Claire. Contrary to the complicated situation here, Claire and Ben were enjoying a trip on a remote island. Through all this mess, they'd found love, and I was so happy for them both. I did always say that given time, they'd make the perfect couple. Seeing how happy they were reminded me of my relationship with Noah. We loved each other, but couldn't be free to show it like they do. I avoided to face him, as technically, he was still engaged to Ashley, and the last thing I wanted was to be a wrecker. Then one evening, Ashley messaged me saying, "I'm at Terrace Cafe. I have something to say to you. Don't keep me waiting." Ugh, what could she possibly want to say to me? I was so curious, though. So, I went to meet her. I arrived to find her and Noah sitting at a table and chatting to each other. I was kind of worried, and my legs seemed to be stuck to the ground. I didn't dare to walk toward them. She called me out to let me see how they looked good together, didn't she? I was about to leave, but at that point, Noah saw me and he immediately came toward me and led me to the seat. Ashley said to me, "You see, we are back together." I should know how ridiculous she was before agreeing to come. Now I stuck myself in this humiliating situation. Suddenly, Ashley laughed out loud and said, "Just kidding, don't be so serious. Look, I'm sorry, I behaved badly and disappointed my father. So I've decided that you can have Noah." Then she smiled, "But don't expect me to wish you happiness or anything." To my surprise, Noah turned me around to face him and said, "We are no longer engaged. Now I'm officially yours, Sarah, if you let me." I almost cried happy tears when Noah asked me, and I never thought that I finally could say yes to him right in front of my used-to-be enemy. 3 months later, everything returned to some sort of normal. Everyone in the company knew that Noah and I were dating, and they all were happy for us. I spent most of my time sculpting, and it was great to follow my passion. As for Ashley, news is she's doing a master's course in England. And as for Claire and Ben, well, their love continued to blossom so fast that after just months of being together, they announced their wedding. Noah came with me to the ceremony, but as soon as we got there, he had to rush off to solve some issues at the company. I was kind of disappointed, but I tried not to show it, as it was my best friend's wedding, and I was so happy for them both. Then Claire threw the bouquet, and as the belief goes, I wanted to be the one to catch it and marry next. We were all ready to leap for it, but then Claire turned back and walked away. We were so confused. What was she doing? Then she walked towards someone. It was Noah. Noah? He was back from work? She gave him the bouquet, and he immediately ran toward me. And to my surprise, he got down on one knee, handed me the bouquet, pulled out this amazing diamond ring, and said, "Sarah, I don't want to lose any more time due to my dumb mistakes. I want to protect you and spend my life with you. So what do you think? Will you marry me?" I couldn't believe my eyes. Noah had this whole thing planned. It was so romantic. I blushed and obviously said yes. Then to cheering and applause, we kissed. Now I'm engaged to the man of my dreams, and hopefully no more obstacles will get in the way of our love. But if they do, well then I say bring them on, as love conquers all.
Hey there, I'm Evie from Georgia. So, I look like a regular teenage girl, right? Just you wait till you see what I can do. Kids these days are so rude and unruly. I blame the parents. There's just no discipline anymore. See, they don't even respect their principal. But no big deal. I know just how to handle them. There we go. Just a few words and the class immediately went silent. What is this, Mrs. Gardner? That trip was all we've been looking forward to for months. Thanks to everyone's disruptive behavior. Well, to be exact, thanks to the actions of you, 25 out of 300 students, no one has anything to look forward to this year. Okay, then go on, ma'am. Punish us. But why drag the whole year group into this? Other classes will definitely not leave us alone after this. Nobody likes being punished. That's why it works. Now, let's see what your peers make of this, shall we? The whole class was buzzing with, "So unfair! Abuse of power! Wicked witch!" Oh my, these kids, always full of energy. Go back to your seats and write an apology letter to Miss Helen, along with a promise to never misbehave again, or else. All of them reluctantly sat down. And there we have it. Oh my god. Who are you? It's just that these unruly students need to learn a lesson for getting Mrs. Helen so exhausted that she ended up in the hospital. And so you just decided to mimic me. Well then, please inform your mum. We will have a talk about this. Here, tomorrow morning. I glumly walked home as slowly as possible. As soon as I walked through the door, Mum was glaring at me. Yup, my mum is Miss Helen, the kindest homeroom teacher ever. However, the kids in her class made her life a misery, which led Mum to get high blood pressure and end up in the hospital. I just wanted to help her, but instead, I just managed to make things worse. Hi, Mum. I'm sorry, but I don't regret what I did. Mum started lecturing me about how it was bad enough that Dad had left and her students were rebellious without me acting like a crazy person. Crazy person? She means the times when I copy the people I want to be? But that's my hobby. I inherited that passion from my father, a famous special effect makeup artist. The feeling whenever I successfully transform into someone else is awesome. And it also helps me feel connected to my dad, even though I haven't seen him in a long time. It all started when I was 13, and Dad helped me dress up as my fave idol for the school festival. Dad taught me how to analyze the character and practice the disguise. Bold eyeliner, smoky eyes, contouring, plus the bodycon outfits. I looked like a real CL from 2NE1. My friends loved my new look. So over the next few years, I masqueraded into many different people, including Lady Gaga, Avril Lavigne, Miley Cyrus, and Sia. The feeling that my makeup talent was that admired and anticipated was just really addictive. Hey, is it Billie Eilish this time? Why not Taylor Swift? I love her so much. I've always done whatever I want and always been exactly who I am. Wow, you got that spot on. Are you a shapeshifter or something? Needless to say, once I imitated someone, I made sure I got their gestures and mannerisms just right. My talent didn't stop at awesome makeup. I was trying to collect things from my locker when a stampede of students raced past me and almost knocked me off my feet. Huh? Who was that strange and rather handsome guy they were chasing? Look at him swaggering. Does he think he's Donald Trump or something? That's Xander. He just transferred here. Keep your voice down, by the way. You don't want to annoy his fan base. Poof! I'm not afraid of those way too girly girls who go crazy for boys. Huh, no one scares you, do they, Evie? Now let's go have some granola. Leo may like boring granola, but no thanks. I'm having a hamburger and fried chicken. Billie Eilish is not the type to turn down delicious food for health freak nonsense. Oh, there's that obnoxious Xander again. But this time he's all over Kayla, the snooty hot girl from my class. A boy approached me asking to take a selfie with me, then suddenly I heard a scream. What do you think you're doing? I turned to see what was going on, and saw Kayla going ballistic at some poor girl who'd accidentally tripped over and fallen into Xander's lap. What on earth do you think you're doing? Take a look at yourself before trying to attract my man. Ugly doofus. How snobby. Did she think her beauty was that splendid to help her keep her man? But not with that empty head, girl. After a few days of research, I showed up at school looking just like Kayla. I'd perfected everything, from her blonde hair, makeup, clothes, walk, and voice. Honestly, this time I was quite nervous. Dressing up as someone I actually knew was always extra scary, especially when her friends were walking over. Wow, that dress is so chic. You really are the fashionista of our school, Kay. Come on, Xander's waiting for us on the sports field. Please, do you think I really want you around? I'm just taking advantage of you. And you keep following me around like a pet. It's so tragic. Are you crazy? I know you like Xander too. I see the gooey looks you give him. When I'm done with him, I'll consider giving him to you. I walked away, leaving the girls freaking out. But I didn't say anything different from what Kayla thought, though. Right? If only she would be so frank with her friends. Now let's get to the main target. Thinking about him gave me goosebumps. I'm busy, bae. Go hang with your friends for now. He was playing Call of Duty on his phone. I was here to break up with him, but hang on a minute. This guy had skill. I want to have a go. Since when did you know how to play this game? He looked kind of touched that I was showing an interest. Okay, I'll wait until after this, and then we will split up. I looked for Leo, but he didn't even recognize me. Poor him. He'd been searching for Billie Eilish since morning. While Leo was complaining, he helped me quickly remove my makeup, so I could go back to looking like me before anyone guessed what I'd just done. From that day onwards, Kayla's friends cut her off, so she could only cling to Xander. And from my point of view, he seemed to be tired of this clingy girl. Now even her look made him sick, huh? The time has come. I put makeup on as Kayla again and found him. I want this bag. Don't try to trick me with a fake one. Okay, as you wish. I want you to give up COD. That way you can only stay by my side. Okay, I'll follow you all day. I want to throw a party and invite the whole school. Your task is to get everyone to gather around me like they used to. If you can't do that, we'll break up. Deal. But I see everyone likes you. Right, Evie? Holy mother! Did he recognize me already? But since when? I have to acknowledge your talent. If only you hadn't shown me your charm, you wouldn't have been exposed. Well, Kayla looks like a picture, but a dull one compared to you. You have such a good eye. However, you're no different from her. Miss Helen is your mom, right? Don't be surprised. I'm a better observer than you think. Just like you. I know that Kayla was the instigator of the disturbance in the class that sent your mom to the hospital. I already apologized to your mom for Kayla's behavior. And if you want to know why I did that, it's because I have a big crush on you. Oh my god. I didn't expect things to turn out this way. But, okay. Taking it as a slap in the face for Kayla on behalf of my mom, I still agreed to date him. The next day, I showed up again at school as Ariana Grande, simply because I wanted to. But this time, I also played another role, Xander's girlfriend. As usual, every time I dressed up as a new character, all eyes were on me. But this time, it was more epic when I walked side by side with the hottest guy in school. When Leo saw that I was with Xander, he rolled his eyes at me, then walked off. Then Kayla walked around the corner, saw us together, and started shouting at me. How dare you steal my man? You're just some pathetic wannabe. Xander took my arm and yelled at her. Evie's creative, sweet, and really funny. I want to be with her. I like her. Kayla's face dropped. Then she pointed her finger in front of him. How could you do this to me? I will get you back for this. Then she huffed off. Xander looked at me and asked if I was okay. Then he invited everyone to a party at his house that night to celebrate the fact that I was now his girlfriend. Was he serious? But whatever. It would be rude to say no, right? So that evening, I went to his party. To my surprise, Kayla was already there, so I flirted with Xander to annoy her further. Then suddenly, Xander leaned in close to my face, which made my whole body feel hot. What was happening? He was going to kiss me? But then he whispered in my ear, "You haven't told me how you feel about me yet." You were looking forward to this answer, weren't you? But before I could reply, Leo appeared out of nowhere, grabbed my hand, and dragged me out of there. Ugh! What on earth are you doing? I'm the one who should be asking you that question. What on earth were you going to say? That I have feelings for you too? This whole thing is a setup between Xander and Kayla to humiliate you. Lucky for you, I arrived just in time to overhear Kayla talking to her friends about this dirty plan. Are you done talking? Do you really think I'd fall into their trap that easily? I already know their dirty tricks, and I was about to tell everyone what jerks they are. But then you showed up and ruined my plan. I don't care how clever and perfect your plan is. How long are you going to continue this tiring game of dispute? They think just because they're both hot that they can treat everyone else like they're puppets. Well, I've had enough. Evie, you're better than this. I don't like this revenge-seeking version of you. Can you please just stop it and go back to normal? Leo walked away in a huff and left me out here alone in the street. I stormed home and took off my makeup. Why was Leo so mad at me? I did nothing wrong. The gentle Leo I knew never had gotten mad or even went against my will, and was always the most enthusiastic supporter every time I imitated someone. What had gotten into him? I called him continuously, but Leo turned off the phone. Ugh. I felt so alone, it was horrible. Then I heard a knock on my door. Mom peered her head around it. Seeing me upset, she came over and cuddled me. It felt good having her comfort me, so I ended up blurting out everything to her. It sounds like Leo was just worried about you. But as for Xander and Kayla, they're not worth your time or effort. Don't become someone you're not just to get revenge on people who don't deserve you. But suddenly, I heard rustling outside of my bedroom window. Then Leo poked his head through it. If you're not tired, then keep copying. You keep following me around like a pet. Go live your own real life. Mom and I both laughed along with him. Then I hugged Leo and told him I was sorry. It's true that pretending to be someone else is exhausting, and I must admit I was wrong to use Kayla's name to sabotage her relationships. Tomorrow, I'll find her and apologize, even though I don't want to, but I have to find a way to end this peacefully. Then, I can focus on just being me for a while, without any of the drama. I wonder what's taking Valerie so long? She's been in that changing room for ages. Valerie? Is everything okay in there? Don't force it if it doesn't fit. No, this is the last dress in store. I just need to breathe in for a bit longer. So? It's beautiful, isn't it? Valerie spun around. Then suddenly, yep, trying to squeeze into a dress 2 sizes too small for her, then it split. The giggles around us started. Valerie blushed, hurriedly paid for the dress, and pulled me out of the shop. Why am I so fat? Ugh! I just want to feel pretty on my date. If I was skinny like you, I wouldn't have this problem. Poof! You know, it's not as easy as you think being thin. Yep, you heard me right. Being thin has its downsides. First of all, fashion. My nightmare. I have to wear an extra small size, and the clothes still hang off me. Actually, most of my clothes are from kids' stores, so I feel so untrendy. Then in winter, I have to wear tons of layers just so I don't freeze to death. And in the summer, I can't wear cute clothes as I look like a coat hanger. Not only that, because I'm so skinny, people often ask me to do nonsense stuff. Once, I was studying in my room when suddenly I heard my sister Camilla calling me. She'd forgotten her keys and forced me to climb through her tiny window gap to get them. Seriously, I can't even. Then, on another occasion, Valerie made me crawl into the classroom locker to help her cheat on her Spanish test. Unfortunately, the teacher walked in while this was happening and gave me a week's worth of detentions, of course. Ugh! Oh my god, No Way Home is so good. I literally can't think of one bad thing to say about it. Yep, the part near the end. Ah! Yep, guess what? I'd managed to trap my foot in a manhole. Man, what rotten luck! I tried pulling my leg free, but it was no use. It wouldn't budge. There I was, freaking out that I'd be stuck here forever, and all my friends could do was huddle together and ask me questions like, "Madeline, how on earth did you get your foot in such a small slot?" Wow, that's unbelievable! Even Jaden, my bookworm friend, took out a ruler from his backpack and started measuring how wide the slot was. Grr. My dear friends, I'm being stuck down here. Stop gawping and help me! Finally, they tried helping me out, but in the end, we had to call the rescue squad. By this point, a massive crowd had gathered around me, and strangers were filming me. When I was finally free, everyone looked at me and held back their laughter. Even Parker, my crush, was smiling. Jeez, this was beyond embarrassing. But a hot guy like Parker would never notice a moving skeleton like me anyway. Don't think like that, Maddie. You're so pretty. Show me some confidence, would you? Valerie said as she nudged my arm. I put the book down and glared at her, and suddenly noticed Parker walking towards our table, smiling. And yep, he said he wanted to sit with us. Even though I was cheering inside of my head, I still had to act composed. And oh my god, can you believe he even said I was cute? After that day, Valerie kept on encouraging me, saying he had definitely given me a green light. So finally, I gathered my courage to write down all my feelings for Parker on a note and clipped it to his notebook. At the end of class that day, he came to my desk and took my hand. Yay! Everything was fine, great even. Until one day, when the two of us were taking a romantic walk past the Swan Lake, Parker suddenly turned to me and said, "You're so beautiful, Maddie. And if you just put on a few more pounds, I swear you'll be the hottest girl at school." Yes, I know, but it's hard for me to gain weight. No big deal. Just leave it to me. I'll fatten you up. I thought Parker was just joking, but it turns out he was being deadly serious. Since that day, every time we went on a date, instead of taking me to the bowling alley and movies as usual, Parker would take me out to eat. I swear, I've tried all the restaurants in our town. More surprisingly, on my birthday, Parker even gave me a bouquet of fried chicken. How romantic! But this didn't change anything, as my weight still stayed the same. Parker was disappointed when he peered over me and saw the scales hadn't budged. Then he sighed out. "How come you and Valerie are friends, but look totally opposite?" "Here comes our adorable, chubby Valerie!" What? Parker called Valerie adorable again. This wasn't the first time either. Annoyed, I put down my fork and walked away from them. After that, I started avoiding Valerie. I did homework with other friends, sat with other girls at lunch, and every time I happened to see Valerie, I turned around and walked away. Honestly, I didn't want it to be this way, but just seeing her made me uncomfortable. But I couldn't bear to see my boyfriend call my BFF cute, while he thought I was too skinny. Then summer break finally rolled around. I thought it'd be just me and Parker, but then he went off to a summer camp in Spain. The plan was all ruined. So I spent a whole sunny day inside sulking. What's wrong? Are you bored because your lover is away? So why don't you take this time to surprise him when he returns? Surprise? A great idea popped into my head. But But how do I get chubby? Easy peasy. Okay, if it's that easy, then show me. Okay, if you do my summer homework for me. What? She's such an opportunist. But I really wanted to pile on the pounds and please Parker. So, without hesitation, I nodded in agreement. So, from that day on, I started following Camilla's weight gain plan. I switched veggies for greasy foods, and my main meal was always late at night. I also changed water for milkshakes, but I did have to stop drinking them when the smell of milk alone made me feel sick. Seeing me eating crazy like that, my parents worriedly said, "Madeline, eating healthily is important, else your health will be affected." But I ignored their advice. This time, I definitely had to gain weight. Finally, after a month of trying, I gained some weight. Yay! I looked a lot more attractive now, didn't I? I was studying myself in the mirror when I heard my phone beep. It was Parker. He was coming over tomorrow with a present for me. The next day, I put on this hot dress that I'd never felt confident enough to wear before, and I asked Camilla to help me do my makeup. As soon as I finished, I eagerly waited for Parker in the living room. The doorbell rang. I excitedly opened the door, but as soon as he saw me, Parker quickly said, "Oh, sorry, I have the wrong house." Then he started to leave. Huh? He didn't recognize me? This will be fun. No, honey, you're not mistaken. It's me, your destiny. Madeline? Is that really you? Oh my, how on earth can you be this big? We've only been apart for a month. So, you don't think I'm prettier now? To my surprise, Parker shook his head. No, you're so fat now. It doesn't look okay. Lose some weight. Huh? This was so confusing. I thought he wanted me to be bigger. As annoying as this was, I still listened to Parker and tried to lose the weight I'd put on. So it turns out that losing weight is far trickier than it sounds. Actually, it's 1,000,000 times harder to lose it than it is to gain it. After a month of healthy eating and exercise, I gained another pound. Ugh! Stop eating that. Are you giving up already? You must try harder. What? It's just some popcorn. Why does he have to be so rude about this? I'll give you 2 weeks to lose weight. Else we're done. Huh? What did he just say? Done? He was the one who wanted me to gain weight in the first place. Now he was threatening to break up with me if I didn't lose it. How ridiculous. You know what? I don't need 2 weeks. Let's end it right now. It's clear you never loved me at all. You only like my appearance. If you truly cared about me, you wouldn't care what size I was. Then I walked off. Ugh, how could I have been so stupid? For the entirety of my relationship with that jerk Parker, I was blindly following him. I only cared about pleasing him, and it cost me so many things, including my best friend. I needed to apologize to her right away. I nervously knocked on the door, then waited. Finally, Valerie opened it, but on seeing me, she went to shut it. "I'm so sorry. Just let me explain, please." "Valerie, I'm so sorry. It was all because I was afraid Parker would leave me for you. But I realize now that he's a massive jerk, and I was an idiot for ever trying to change for him." "Jeez, you're crazy. Parker is totally not my type." I scratched my head and told her about how terrible Parker had treated me and how I'd foolishly listened to him. "Man, that douchebag!" Then she hugged me. Valerie confessed to me that she'd been trying to lose weight by lowering her calorie intake, but the pounds weren't coming off. And worse still, she felt weak and tired all the time. I nodded in agreement with her. So, from then on, Valerie and I made a promise to love ourselves, regardless of what size we were, and to never let anyone try and change us. And look, that's Walker and Joel, our awesome boyfriends who love us just the way we are. And you know what? It feels so good not caring what other people think. So don't ever let idiots put you down. 'Cause when you allow yourself to just be you, then you can finally realize just how beautiful you truly are.